Well, thanks for joining us this evening.
Welcome.
Welcome, yay!
Today, this evening, we have the Health Huddle episode 8.
8.
So, we are talking about are dietary supplements actually good for you?
Yep. So, for those of us who have not tuned into our previous episodes, Health Huddle is basically a weekly Facebook Live talk show where we will come together to talk about interesting topics related to healthcare, wellness, genetics, and many more. And it will be done every Wednesday at 8 p.m. So, we would appreciate it if you do join us for our next few weeks as well. So, yeah, I think, should we start, John?
Yeah, let's do this.
Okay, so once again, thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
Really nice to have you guys with us here today. My name is Jane from Advanx Health, and I am the layman representative for the Health Huddle today, and I will also be your host. John?
Yep. So I am the sort of healthcare professional here. I'll be sort of demystifying and sort of clarifying some of the terms or some of the questions that you might have in mind on the topic that we are discussing today.
Yeah. So in case any of you didn't know, so John was a licensed pharmacist before he came to start Advanx Health. So he is very equipped with the knowledge that many of us do not know. So he will
Sufficient. I wouldn't say that's a lot, but that's enough.
Yeah. So he will be here today to answer our questions today. So feel free to ask him anything.
So as a registered pharmacist, there are things that I practiced in pharmacy before. So in the pharmacy settings, supplements is a huge deal. A lot of people come into the pharmacy looking for advice on what sort of supplements that they are they are supposed to take. So, I mean, just for a context of this topic today, I was just having a lunch with my colleague today, and he's also talking about, he just stepped into a pharmacy recently, asking the pharmacist of what sort of supplements that he should take. From a layman point of perspective, I believe. Right now, health supplements. There's so many. If you go to any pharmacies, the shelf is it's huge. So there's a lot of things going on in the supplement space. I think as a former practicing pharmacist, although I'm still registered, but I'm not practicing. So, but I still able to sort of share a little bit on that with every one of you today.
Yeah. So, in case any of you are wondering, last week's episode was actually cancelled due to some unforeseen issues that came up. And we have replaced that with this week's discussion. And if you're wondering when will we be doing that discussion, we'll actually be doing it next week. So do stay tuned if you want to hear us talking about genetics. But today, let's get started and talk about supplements. So
Let's do this.
Like what John said, there's so many dietary supplements out there. Some are in pills, some are powder form, so many types. But are they actually good for you? And should you actually take them? Do you need to take them? So let's start with the first question.
Let's do this.
Straightforward. Okay, so in general, John, from a pharmacist professional knowledge, do you think that dietary supplements are generally recommended?
Well, that's a fairly good question to start off the evening because, we sort of have a blanket term called dietary supplements, but there's actually a lot of categories under that umbrella. For as a pharmacist, working in a pharmacy, we definitely would say supplements would help, but different individuals would require different types of supplements, I would say. So take for example, the most common supplements that we would find is those like vitamins, multivitamins sort of thing. It will be more meant for people who are not getting the nutrition, or let's say a balanced nutrition via their diet. So for example, those are very, very conscious in their food, that might not be that much of relevance. But the value for supplements is, it's like a one pill thing. In one pill, you sort of get all the daily required nutrients, for your general well-being. So that's actually a very good, I would say, value for most of the customers and most of the users out there. Whereas there are supplements which are for specific conditions, like take for example like glucosamine, like those herbal for liver tonic. We also talk about probiotics, prebiotics. Some people has supplements like papaya leaf extract is considered a supplement, but it's mostly for like dengue patients. So there's actually a lot of I would say classifications or groups of supplements that we are talking at. So generally, I would say if you are being recommended or you are taking the right one, that will be very helpful for you. Of course, in a pharmacy setting, I would say there might be chances of over supplementing. Yeah. So
Taking too much of unnecessary supplements.
Yeah, taking much more than what you might need, that might be an issue. However, it will really depends on your needs. So I think, as long as you understand your current health conditions and what you want to achieve, I think supplements will really help.
Okay, so let's talk about the vitamins one that you talked about. So, there's so many types of vitamin supplements, C, B12, B6,
Yep.
da da
Yep.
da, and I think, like you said, many people would take that because they do not consume a balanced diet that ensures sufficient amount of vitamins or nutrients, right? But are these supplements actually enough to supply your body with the nutrients in replacement of food?
Well, I think if you're asking whether these supplements is enough to supply the daily recommended intake, then I would say most of them yes. Most of them yes, because they are the concentrated amount of vitamins that we will need. So it will be typically much more than what we normally consume via food in a daily basis. However, there's a catch. There is a catch where we talk about product stability. There are variations among different products in their formulation, which sort of retains that vitamins in their formulation across time. So I'm getting a little bit technical here. So for example, vitamin C is a fantastic example because vitamin C serves as an antioxidant, as we all know. And everywhere in our daily lives there's oxygen. So what I talk about stability means the amount of vitamin C in that pill across time might not be consistent, because in our regulatory system for supplements, as long as it's safe, we generally wouldn't measure how many content that a pill would have. So meaning to say that even though the product may claim they have 500 mg, 1000 mg, they might have that in the initial stage when they formulate that product, but when it's put on shelves for a year or two, the concentration might drop. And by law it's okay, because supplements being supplements, we wouldn't know how much vitamin C we take in our daily lives as well. You don't know how much vitamin C content is in like your fruits, your vegetables. That's why the logic is it doesn't matter as long as there is. So the interesting part would be here is about the requirements compared to what is being labeled, or the what is being absorbed might be different, but it's generally enough to sort of provide the daily intake required.
So, if that's the case, technically, theoretically speaking, would it be possible to replace your meals completely with supplements?
So yes, I would say that is why there are products in a pharmacy that you call meal replacements.
Mm-hmm.
So those meal replacements are being formulated as such, to mimic I would say like a meal intake, the
Mm-hmm.
nutrition and the energy, the calories, the macro and micronutrients required for a person in a meal, everything in a powder form.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, is in the powder form, like a sort of like a meal type.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, generally, if you're gonna take supplements to replace your meal, there is such a product. They are called meal replacements, and it's generally quite popular amongst people who are sort of controlling their weight, managing their diet.
Mm-hmm. But generally speaking, would you actually recommend that to people, or would it be preferred for them to actually take like proper meals?
I would say, of course, ideally, it would be on proper meals because I think first of all, having a more wholesome approach in terms of diet would be more sustainable. But of course, we are living in a very busy urban settings. A lot of people doesn't have time to sort of cook
Mm-hmm.
or really take into account the food that they eat every day. So I think the more practical one would be like getting like a meal replacement.
Mm-hmm.
For them to just have it quick but still nutritious at the same time. So
Mm-hmm.
there are certain values in that sort of arrangements. Of course, if you ask me, definitely it will be more on the diet approach would be better, lah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
I,
much more difficult.
I guess for people who are on weight control, it's better for them to take meal replacements and starving, right?
Yeah,
But in a
meal
general
replacements
term,
is generally better than starving.
mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Okay, let's talk about something else in regards to the dietary supplements. So, there's so many different types of supplements in a regular pharmacy. Even just for vitamin C, there's like 3 to 4 or even more brands. And they come in so many different forms. Some in pills, some in
Yeah.
powder, some are like chewy, like jelly kind. So
Mhm.
how do you actually know which brand and which type to pick?
Mhm.
And generally are all drugstore brands okay?
So I would say there's a few factors that we need to consider in sort of getting the right brands from what sources. Yep. I think in terms of choosing which brand, um, first of all, legally the product needs to be registered. So as long as it's being sold in I think a pharmacy setting, a known pharmacy setting, it would be registered. It would be a registered product. So what does it mean by being a registered product is at least the safety part would be taken care of, and the manufacturing quality is being taken care of. That means the product that you are taking would not cause you any harm. It might not bring you benefit. That means because everyone has different needs. Because you won't feel any different if you take vitamin C, things like that. But generally, it would be safe if it's registered and it's being regulated.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, that's the legal part. Secondly, on the functional part, different dosage forms comes with different sort of absorption efficacy as the product would claim, and it really depends on the formulation. Then it is on the product features itself. The form of vitamin C, for example, would affect the absorption, the amount of vitamins being absorbed in our body. Having it in like a drink liquid form compared to tablets, compared to powder, each has different types of profile in terms of us absorbing it. So generally, we want to achieve a more optimal one. That means if you are buying for, so generally vitamin C, if you take it, you will be enough because the recommended daily intake is actually quite low.
Mm-hmm.
So that one would be up to your recommendations. That means the pharmacist would recommend you whatever brands that are safe at least. Then they will start telling you, okay, this formulation is acid free, this formulation is gastric friendly, or this formulation is extended release. Those kind of things will come into play.
So it's good for us to actually ask the pharmacist on duty for
Yes.
recommendations.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. So I think besides that, the sources of vitamins, we need to avoid getting it from unknown sources. So let's say direct selling is also quite popular in Malaysia. There are a lot of I would say genuine direct selling brands. So you can get it from there. Those that are out of the blue, maybe you want to just check whether is it registered with our authority MPRA, the product before. So even if it's a like technically a registered product, you need to check there's a hologram, there's a sticker there to ensure that it's original.
So
Yes.
on
So
the
we have a
topic.
question in the comment though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Keith, so thank you Keith for listening to us, tuning into us. So Keith is asking, there are a lot of meal supplements in the market. How should I choose which one is more suitable for me? And can multi-grains beverage consider as a type of meal replacement? So fantastic question from Keith. I think the question about how to choose meal supplements, I would typically say most supplements are being formulated to mimic a adult intake of a meal. So most of the profiles, if it meets the calorie intake, a balanced protein, fiber, and all the multivitamins, it should be fine. Of course, on top of that, a lot of companies, for differentiation, they will add in more stuff. For example, some may add in certain extracts, some might add in certain other trace minerals, which are additional. Those are really up to what is required or what do you think that is more important for you. Multi-grains beverage can multi-grains beverage consider as a type of meal replacement? So it needs to come back to the compared to a meal requirement. If it's if it can fits to the dietary profile of a meal for a person, then yes. So I think ultimately the gold standard would be typically in a meal, how much energy you need, how much vitamins you need, anything that can sort of fit that profile, then that would be can be considered as a type of meal replacement.
So on the topic of meal replacements, since we're
Yeah.
talking about how to pick, so there are a lot of people who take meal replacements like shakes or like protein shakes,
Yeah.
for muscle building, just for weight loss in general. So, since it's called protein shake, naturally it would be more heavy on the protein side and may not contain some other like vitamins. So, if people are actually taking those kind of meal replacements, do they have to supplement it with vitamin dietary supplement? Or, what do you think they should do to ensure the sufficient intake?
So for like gym goers, bodybuilders, typically when they choose like a protein shake, of course they would value the type of proteins that they take and also the amount of proteins that is in every shake. So for those who's to supplement the multivitamins part, which is if it's not already available in the product that they choose, then of course a supplementation of a good multivitamin would be required. I mean, will be desirable. That would be ideal. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, supplements is there to sort of complement our diet. If let's say we are not taking, a balanced diet, a wholesome diet, yeah. So yes, then that if that's the question, then yes, protein shakes, sort of can add in another multivitamin if they are not having it or not taking it.
So I guess at the end of the day, we do still have to look into the ingredients and
Yeah.
the nutrition table and all that
Yep.
before we
And
pick. Mm-hmm.
and actually most of the time the challenge is, I did a formulation for meal replacement before as well when I was practicing. The challenge is on the multivitamins
Mm-hmm.
because the multivitamins are extremely unstable. In the market, there's only handful of them are actually with a stable formulation.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, the product might claim to have this much of vitamins, when actual fact, if you really do like a lab test on it, they would not have that much. This is a typical. I think there's, I will say like a dark secret in the industry that many might not know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for multivitamins out there, there's a challenge of the formulation, and it's not something that the supplier or the provider hope for, but it's just that multivitamins are generally very very, I would say, unstable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because of the nature of the vitamins itself. So so what I would say is still, if it's possible to sort of get those nutrients from the diet, find a wholesome meal, it will be, if you, of course, it's the best lah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So on the topic of multivitamins, okay, so
Yeah.
since you're saying that multivitamin formulas are usually, many brands are unstable. So what if someone says like, oh, so instead of taking a multivitamin pill, I'm just gonna take a pill of each vitamin type, so to make sure that I can actually get enough.
Yeah.
Would that work, or would that actually lead to like overdose or over supplementing?
Okay, first few things. First of all, a very quick one on overdosing on supplements. Generally, you need to take a lot of supplements to get overdose, or you might need, if you have like liver or kidney failure, then only you get overdose. Most of the time, if it's just like one pill, you wouldn't get overdose. But if you talk about, getting the multivitamins from multiple pills, I think first of all, cost is an issue. Cost is an issue to get that much
Mm,
of the product,
yeah,
and also the hassle of it, the
yeah,
hassle of consuming so many pills in one go. That's pretty difficult and
yeah.
normally not really
Yeah.
practical.
But let's assume that's out of the question,
Yeah.
Is it okay to do
Um,
that?
Principally yes, theoretically also yes, but it's not practical.
Just so it's safe to actually take like multiple pills or multiple type of supplements. It's just very troublesome and costly
because
lah.
because the reason is in the multivitamin, typically they would have at least 12 vitamins and minerals. Oh no, so not 12, 20 vitamins and minerals. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're going to take them individually, means you need to take about 20 pills. And some
Mm-hmm.
of it is normally not available as a standalone pill because of the trace amount of it is very
Mm-hmm.
little. It's very, very little. So that's why normally multivitamins, they come in a mix.
Mm-hmm.
They come in a mix. So for standalone, vitamins are typically more for certain conditions. Certain conditions. So just for education for the listeners out there, in choosing supplements, I think not only on price, not only on the strength, do also look into the stability, because the stability would matter, or how much are you actually getting compared to how much it is being labeled.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, just one of the last subtopics of discussion. So
Mhm.
since we're on the topic of taking multiple supplements, right? So I know some people who would take like for example, few types of vitamins. Then they also take other kind of supplements like some ginseng extract, and then they would take like another collagen drink or so
Mhm.
and so, and they would just mix um all these different kind of supplements and they take it at one go. So
Mm.
is that actually okay, or should they actually take them separately at different times?
Well, that's a very good question because, first of all, we do not know, is there any what we call interactions between different supplements, especially involving traditional herbs.
Mm-hmm.
Because the effect can only be known if we conduct a study on it. And based on current regulations and laws, we normally do not really test it actively. Um, So, for example, there are a lot of interaction between certain herbs and certain vitamins. Um, some may increase, some may decrease the absorption. Some may, increase certain toxicity even because some of the herbs do contain some. Let's say if in higher dose, or let's say if it's not eliminated well, it may turn into sort of more toxic substance. That we do not know. That we do not know. And whether it, generally as a pharmacist, we try to sort of advise people to sort of avoid having a lot of things in once because we are not so sure whether would they interact in our body or not.
Mm-hmm.
Especially things like ginseng. We typically be a bit more careful. A bit more careful. Hmm, I think generally is if it's being proven that it's okay, then okay. Otherwise, we just take precaution lah. Gap at least like a 2 hours. Even medication also. So if someone is taking medications, you're on your hypertension meds or whatsoever. For taking supplements, especially herbal. The normal like vitamins and minerals, I mean, still okay, but for herbals, it's kind of complicated because
Mm-hmm.
herbal itself has medicinal contents inside, where from our regulation, they are also regulating on the safety and the quality. They do not really actually also measure a lot on the concentration or things like that. Yeah, so it's kind of yeah, and let's say anything happens, when you sort of consume that, sometimes you might not know in a very short period of time it might accumulate. I don't know, so we don't know. We don't know.
So in general, we just have to be careful if you're taking like multiple types of supplements lah, and it's best to take them with a 2 hour gap in between.
Yeah, especially traditional herbs,
Traditional
because
herbs.
I'm just being more cautious here. Most of the
Mm-hmm.
time, maybe most of the pharmacists that you have out there, they will just ask you, it's fine because it's safe. There's no big harm. As a rule of thumb, if let's say if you have tried taking it together, um, the most common one is like whether you have gastric disturbance, do you feel dizzy, do you feel do you feel like how to say nauseatic, do you find any headache, for example. Those are like more common symptoms. If it mean so that it shows that it doesn't really blend well in your body. Otherwise, for public point of perspective, always do consult a doctor, or ask your pharmacist, to be precise. If you're taking ginseng plus let's say a metformin, is it okay? Because in for drugs, there are certain reported cases where it doesn't go well with certain herbal extracts.
Mm-hmm.
So always check with a doctor or pharmacist for a very, very specific combination.
Mm-hmm.
However, in the general, I would just say try to avoid, or at least get more information on that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So while we're on the topic of interaction, would there be any concerns if, for example, somebody takes like a pill kind of supplement with coffee or like juice? Is that
Mhm.
okay?
That's a very good question. So, in terms of consuming, medicine with different or supplements with different beverages, most of the time, the research or studies is only conducted if they consume water.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's say if you say like coffee or tea, there are chemicals in coffee and tea. So we need to be specific if you really need to understand. However, in general, there might be interactions that we want to avoid. So generally, we will just say take medications or supplements with plain water.
Mm-hmm. Say first, just take
Yeah.
water.
So say for example, if you take it with milk have calcium. So like certain antibiotics, they interact with calcium. Means calcium sort of block the action of the antibiotic and it will render it ineffective,
Mhm.
or things like that. Certain there are certain interactions that we have known or that might not be known. So generally, it's just to avoid
Mhm.
that things to happen.
Mhm. I
Oh, so we have another question.
Oh, we have a question from Chiang.
Yep.
So I'll read it. Okay. So
Yep.
is it advisable to take fiber supplements as the new Malaysia Food Pyramid advocates public to consume more fruits and vegetables? And it is much more convenient to take just a fiber sachet instead of 5 servings of fruit and veggies. Okay, I guess this is just asking if it's okay to take supplements to replace eating fruits and veggies. So what do you think, John?
So okay, for to answer is of course, if you can, fruits and veggies would be better than just fiber, because simply because in fruits and vegetables it's not only just fiber. If you take fiber, then it's just fiber.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take
Fruits and veggies also have like vitamins and stuff.
That's right. That's right. So in fruits and vegetables, there are other antioxidants that is contained in the fruit and vegetables that are also beneficial. They have trace elements. They have the vitamins there as well, on top of providing us with the fiber.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely, if you ask me to fiber supplements versus fruits and vegetables, I would say fruits and vegetables will be better.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, if you compare per serving cost itself, a fiber sachet would also typically cost 3 to 4 ringgit. A pack of fruits for, let's say, watermelon or whatever, it will be also like 1 to 2 ringgit. It's almost the same, but you get more out of for that serving.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, on the flip side, the content of fiber, it will be more concentrated in a fiber sachet or fiber supplements, because that is the thing that they are selling.
Mm-hmm.
The fiber content will be higher, definitely. So I would say, if possible, we can take whole fruit, like whole food fruits and vegetables. Of course, if there's limitations in our daily habits or daily practices, then yeah, fiber supplements would be helpful.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we have another question here. That fish oil apparently is harmful to take. So what is your opinion on this?
Yeah. So thanks, Keith, for the wonderful question. I haven't heard from people saying that fish oil is harmful to take. So I'm not so sure how to take that. Maybe you can also share with us why is it so. But generally, I think if the fish oil is uh, safe, with quality, and is taken in a moderate amount, as what it should, then I think it's okay. It's basically like consuming a number of fish in a day. Yeah. So do enlighten me. Why is the reason why it is said to be harmful to take? This for me, for a long while, I have been told that fish oil are beneficial to a certain extent as a supplement. So yeah.
Okay, so Keith, do leave your comment and let us know more about what you have heard about fish oil so we can talk
Mhm.
further about this. So yeah, from what we've discussed so far, John, I think in general it would be good if people just do a little bit of research on the kind of supplements that they want to take, right? Instead of just like, oh, I heard this is good, I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah, I think also on top of that is getting the information from the right source. Nowadays, information is being made very available online. People Google about stuff. They read people posts from Facebook or social media.
Mm-hmm.
So and there are an array of supplements. Just now you mentioned vitamin C 3 to 5. Actually, I think it's more than that. I think it's about 30 to 50 brands of vitamin C in Malaysia itself. And I
Mm-hmm.
think every I would say Tom, Dick, and Harry will have their own brand of vitamin C.
Mm.
Um, I would say in selection of dietary supplements, industry is also evolving in a very fast pace. Sometimes there's new products coming out. We also might not be very familiar. but get the information from the right source. Always sort of just check with either like a your trusted pharmacist, or the trusted doctors that you have. Read it from credible source about the function. Read about what research has been done on the supplements. Is it reliable? Those kind of things. And yeah, I think then you probably make a more informed choice from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, everyone who's with us, I do hope you guys would, consult your doctors or your pharmacist before making any changes to your diet. Do not, um, for example, stop eating vegetables completely just because you are taking a supplement. Always be mindful of what you eat, and yeah, make wise choices for, the type of supplements that you choose.
Yeah, so I think in terms of supplements, supplement is still what they call like supplementary.
Mm,
That's why it supplements what we are lacking of. The ideal is still consuming a balanced diet,
mm,
balanced nutrition from our diet and eat well.
mm-hmm,
Yeah, and it's more safer also, in the sense,
mm-hmm.
if it's being prepared, healthily, yeah.
I think most nutritionists that I have spoken to have also recommended me to, like, just eat whole foods. It's healthier for you, and it's a more natural way to absorb the nutrients.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, if you have any um limitations in absorbing nutrients, then supplements would be a good way to, supplement your diet.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. Hmm.
So we're Keith, if you're still with us, do leave your comment below. We'll hang around for a couple more minutes.
Yeah, so
So,
maybe one
yeah.
one question to Jane as well. So what's
Yeah.
your initial perception to supplements? Is it something that you see it as a medicine, or is this something that you see it that will treat you, or it just supplement
Um,
whatever you need?
so I think because I personally do not take a lot of supplements. But I do especially with the pandemic going on, I've been taking vitamin C every now and then because apparently vitamin C boosts your immunity. So,
Hmm.
for me, it's more of like a short term solution for certain health conditions. Like, if I feel a flu coming, then I would take vitamin C. But it was never really a long term thing for me because I do trust in eating proper meals more.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I guess things like meal replacements are indeed very helpful when you're on a calorie deficit diet.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess still on a short term basis lah. It's not good for long term, I guess. That's what I think.
Okay.
Oh, we have another question here from
Yep.
Monisha Adam. So they're asking, is omega-3 same as taking fish oil?
So basically, omega-3 is the substance that we intend to get from fish oil. It's the thing that we are looking for in the fish oil, omega-3 and sort of omega-6 and omega-9. So omega-3 is just a group of I would say fatty fats that is beneficial. So I think the question, it's sort of like it should be the other way around. Like taking fish oil provides you with omega-3. That's the thing. But omega-3 is not only found in fish oil. Of course, there's other oils, like that also contains omega-3. So
Mm-hmm.
um, so I think to maybe your question might be sort of asking whether omega-3 is only in fish oil. So the answer is no. Of course, there are also different concentration of omega-3 in different sources. Yeah. So the more typically or the more marketed one is fish oil.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, with the sort of highest concentration, yeah.
I guess fish oil is something that especially Asian kids kind of grow up with, or hearing our
Yeah.
parents talk about, like, oh, fish oil is so good for you.
Yep.
you know, if you take it, you're going to be so smart.
Yeah, like I think remember my childhood we drink the cod liver oil.
Yes, I hated it. But I drank
I
it a
like the
lot.
orange one though.
Yep.
So just to wrap up on the topic of supplements and meal replacements, I think at the end of the day we just need to take what we need,
Mm.
and we need to sort of identify what we need.
Do the
Some people
research.
do the research and be mindful of getting right products from the right source and from the right person to recommend you. So yep.
Thanks, John, for sharing and wrapping it up. So
Yep.
I guess we will be wrapping up today's session. We are clocking in at close to 44 minutes. So thank you for joining us this evening. And if any of you have any other questions regarding dietary supplements, you can always just leave the comment in this same post, or you can just send us a direct message on Facebook or Instagram, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. Yeah. Yay! Thanks, John, for joining us today.
Hey, thanks, Jim. Thanks,
All
everyone.
right. Thanks,
Yes.
everyone. Have a good
Good evening.
evening.
Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Able to genetically modify one type of cow which is able to survive in Malaysia and provide good enough production of milk. And because of this,